interesting things about that article is that the Dean of Students at the U.S. Military Academy, I think his name is General Patrick Finnegan, went to Hollywood to meet with the producer of 24 and to say, stop it. Stop showing this idea that torture is effective, because in the field right now, our soldiers are watching your show and they are doing this. Now, this is not some ratbag academic like myself. This is a general, serving general in the U.S. Army, whose task it is to form the next generation of America's men and women who wear our uniform and represent our nation abroad. And he is deeply concerned by the propagation of these ideas. And I take that as one more vote for the idea that it's incumbent upon responsible Americans like the General, like the American Psychological Association, to collectively impose our wisdom upon our political leaders who don't know any better. Although the capacity for fiction, like 24, is infinite and it's totally fictional, but we can go into that. It's another subject, and I've written about that elsewhere. But I would argue actually that there is a limiting restraint on this. The human mind is the human mind,
right.
And although our understanding of it increases constantly, eventually at a certain point you're going to reach the limits of what techniques can be used. And I would think that we're probably, after 2,000 years of Western judicial torture and 50 years of American and Allied psychological torture, we may be reaching those limits. So that although the American Psychiatric Association may have to add another point or two in years to come, I would argue they basically got it right. I mean, we've gotten the three parts, right? We've gotten sensory disorientation through the universal sensory receptors. We've attacked cultural identity, and we've attacked individual fears and phobias. Okay, I mean, it's sort of, we've now reached the broad limits of the paradigm.
And the reason it's an important point is this: if you think that there's an infinite possibility of new techniques,
then you will not specifically define or list.
You will think that you can't do anything about it.
Yes, and that's why I agree with you absolutely. In fact, it's not infinite, and we can do something about it.
I myself feel that there are many aspects of the APA written policies, the PENS document, the council resolution that we can be quite proud of. But I agree with many of the comments, as you know, Steve, that there's been something very lacking in the tone of our organization and its leadership in really getting out there and making some noise to just make it very clear where we stand and what we want to stand for.
Even in the debating, the fact that we know that psychologists were involved in training and in helping think about interrogations, to me, the response should be visceral and we shouldn't even have to be pressuring our organization to get it together. Our organization should be leading us, marching around the Pentagon, absolutely, forbidding.
Okay, so severe mental pain, define it so that future Judge Bybees, he's now a federal judge in this circuit, by the way, that future Judge Bybees cannot come around and come up with these definitions so absurd that they, in fact, have been repudiated by the Defense Department of the Bush administration. Okay, so among the definitional work of your association as professionals is to get some of these definitions up from the point of view of your professional practice. People like Dr. Jacobs here and the practitioners in the 30 to 40 torture victim treatment centers across America with their case files now probably in excess of tens of thousands. Okay, there is ample evidence to define what constitutes severe mental pain. To put these, in the DSM-4, which has legal standing. Okay, so therefore this does not allow an absurd trifling of the definitions. Okay, so that's something I urge you to put on your professional agenda: is getting some of these key issues, torture, psychological torture, severe mental pain. Get them in the DSM-4 so that they are enshrined in the legal standing that volume has.
My third point is that I've put some flyers in the back. A bunch of us whose gut reaction was, oh my God, I can't pay dues to my organization. This is my organization. So some of us have withheld our dues for 2007. I'm urging anyone who is interested in doing so to write a letter and explain to, I guess his name is Norman Anderson, who's the executive director, whoever the guy is on the sheet when you get your renewal. I just wrote it back to him. and just explain why you plan to withhold your dues for 2008 until and unless APA gets its act together. Because I don't know how you feel. I do not want my grandchildren looking up and saying, "What? You belong to this organization," while they were like condoning torture. You must be nuts.
And one of the students was asked, can you define what real ethical definition of ethics? I think that was the question. And the student got into that very complicated, abstract definition of ethics. And somebody from the a speaker said, doing the right thing, that is the ethics. It's so simple, doing the right thing.